Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. I, OniMaru, will no longer be watching harems. I am above that filth. I no longer need to cater to those carnal needs. Oh, a new harem. Quintessential Quintuplets. Nice. There's 5 of them? Huh, who to pick?
OniMaru-ku. OniMaru. OniMaru-senpai. OniMaru. OniMaru-ku.
Can I have all of them? When you think of anime that you wouldn't want people walking in on you watching, most of the time, I guarantee you, it's a harem. The harem anime genre has been around since the dawn of time, or at least it feels that way with how many freaking variations we've seen of it. Like, really? Okay, but no, it's really been around since 1992 when Tenchi Muyo came out, which was probably one of the first true harems as we know them now. No offense, Ranma. And since then, harems have just been regurgitating the same formula for years with little to tell them apart besides the increasing levels of fan service and shock value. Every season, we tend to get a new harem with a slightly different gimmick. This season, that harem is the Quintessential Quintuplets. You have 5 beautiful sisters from a rich family who move into the area and need help getting their grades up. One extremely study-obsessed loner takes on the job of becoming their tutor in order to clear his family's debt. Ah, that sounds nice. Except for the fact that all of them have god-awful grades, hate studying, and on top of that, most of them still don't want a tutor.
Huh? Bye-bye.
Finally, a show where the main character doesn't want the girls, and the girls equally don't want him. It's all out of self-interest. I think we've reached a new frontier. Guys, I see it! I see the light! What makes Quintuplets feel so fresh is that it takes the standard setup we've come to expect from harems and handles it in such a clever and fun way that it keeps the viewer invested in the development of the relationships rather than the other thing. Now, the tutoring premise itself isn't exactly new or revolutionary, but by making all the potential love interest sisters that are all equally failing and giving the main character no other choice but to help them, it allows the setup to feel much more natural by making it feel more like a challenge he must overcome rather than just an excuse to have him be surrounded by women. Because this job pays so well, Futaro is given a reason to make this tutoring gig work, but he needs to find out how to get all of the girls to cooperate considering they each have completely different personalities. One example of this is when he finds out that Miku is obsessed with Japanese warlords and uses that as an angle to get her to want to learn more about history. Miku also has this tendency to feel like an outcast, so by taking the time to study up on the thing she likes the most, she starts to see Futaro in a new light. What's great about this is that each sister gets a chance to shine as we get to see what makes them tick, and it gives the show a bit more believability as to why they would develop affection for him, because he's taking the time to develop that rapport with them, making it feel earned. Unfortunately, the girls themselves all kind of fall into your typical anime character cliches. We have Itsuki, the proper young lady, Yotsuba, the Genki girl, Ichika, the seductive older sister type, Miku, the dandere, and Nino, the classic tsundere. While this doesn't give them much nuance as characters, for the purpose of the story, it provides enough variety to make their interactions with each other and with Futaro engaging without having to resort to fan service. Okay, there are still moments of fan service, but it's pretty tame compared to other shows and doesn't happen as often, which I actually really appreciate. However, what really sold me on Quintuplets was the main character himself, Uesugi Futaro. Where in most harems, you get your generic and bland male protagonist or your lovable idiot. Here we get someone that's really good at studying, obsessed even, being at the top of his classes and regularly acing all of his exams. Since he's studying constantly, he doesn't really seem to care much for socializing with others, but what makes him interesting is that he doesn't seem to be a loner due to low self-esteem or poor social skills like in other anime, but rather by choice. You could even see it down to his own calculating nature.
焼肉定食焼肉抜きで
はいよ
この学食での最安値はライスと思われがちだが実は違う
Okay, I understand the point of this scene. This guy is supposed to be clever, he knows how to play the game, he knows how to save money, but more importantly, how do you have a beef combo with no beef? This is one of the very first scenes, so right from the beginning you can tell this guy couldn't care less what people think. Which means he actually has a personality. By bestowing him with personality, you can tell the show is interested in telling us a story rather than just feeding us a fantasy. Okay, within reason. For example, one part I enjoyed was when he meets Itsuki, who's actually the first quintuplet he meets, he's completely unfazed by her attractiveness. Frankly, he doesn't want anything to do with her because he's just absorbed by work. He even shuts down her offer to tutor her, which actually sets up some fun interactions when he meets the other quintuplets and finds out that he has no other choice but to make the job work. By screwing over that first impression with one of them, he basically puts himself in the negative and has to climb his way up, and that's why the progress that comes afterward, any bit of progress that he makes, feels much more rewarding. If this was another harem, he would have just started tutoring them, they all would have fallen in love with him, and the show would have lost steam halfway through and would have had to resort to a Hot Springs episode to regain that steam. You get it? Yeah. Alright, I'll walk myself out. What works well with the show's setup is that Futaro is not a people person. His inflated ego and his insensitivity works against him when it comes to getting the sisters to listen, but that's also what makes it entertaining, watching him struggle to figure it out and having to earn his place as their tutor. It also opens up the possibility for him to learn to grow as a person. Even if his extreme personality runs the risk of making him unlikable, he at least has a little sister that humanizes him. Okay, sort of. She also happens to be one of the rare normal little sisters in anime that doesn't want her brother. Which once again, I really appreciate. I swear, it's like a dying breed. Alright, now that that's out of the way, I need to talk about what I think is probably my most favorite part of the show, which is that it has an end in sight right from the beginning. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that gives me something to look forward to, especially in a genre that's notorious for dragging on or ending without having the main character choose any of the girls. Here, we've been promised that he will in fact marry one of them. It better be true. It better be true, I swear to God. And I love how they cleverly show you the bride, knowing that you won't have a clue which of the quintuplets it is, considering they all look the same and they originally all had that same reddish hair color. This is honestly the biggest part of the show's charm, because having this knowledge going in keeps you guessing the whole time you're watching, trying to figure out which of the sisters will be the chosen bride. The show also makes sure that each girl has enough time spent with Futaro while subtly dropping hints at their growing feelings for him, that it really makes it hard to pinpoint who has the advantage at any given time. And to make it even harder, Futaro doesn't seem to be particularly interested in any single one of them outside of wanting to do his job correctly, but the fact that he's going to end up with one of them is enough to make you curious at how it's all going to unfold. It's like the perfect hook, and you know you're also secretly rooting for who you think he should pick. Honestly, I don't care who wins, as long as it's not Itsuki. Harem is a genre that I rarely ever watch anymore because it's sort of become formulaic and mindless, with each new one just trying to one-up what came before it, which is to be expected when you have so many coming out each year. But Quintuplet's strength is that it takes the time to flesh out the sisters' feelings toward the main character, rather than just having them instantly fall in love with him because he's special or something. Overall, the show isn't doing anything amazing or mind-blowing, but it's definitely an enjoyable watch that I'd highly recommend. And it's most definitely low stakes, because if your best girl doesn't get picked, then everyone still wins, because by marrying one of the sisters, he becomes part of their family. Ah, good, wholesome ending. You know, unless one of the other sisters asks him to sleep with her, and then we'll get the raunchy and scandalous sequel, Domestic Quintuplets. Oh god. Hey guys, are you also enjoying Quintessential Quintuplets this season? If so, let me know who your favorite quintuplet is and why in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell next to it so you can be notified when my next video goes up. And recently I just made a Discord, so if you want to join and chat with me about anime and maybe build a community, the link is in the description below. Besides that, I'm OniMaru, and I'll see you guys in the next video.